There is a quote I found many years ago that has stuck with me for some reason. I've seen a few examples of it now, across news, media, and most recently in film, and I think it best sums up the film we'll be tackling today, and maybe why I feel as if it is so misunderstood. The Wind Rises, as one of Miyazaki's films, is probably his least regarded film, and arguably the most hated out of all the ones that he's made. This is in no small part due to the fact that Miyazaki's films are just so good, but also I feel like a lot of the fans of Miyazaki's films don't actually understand what I believe is the true meaning behind the film. The lack of praise on such an insightful and emotional film is certainly surprising from a fan base that is traditionally so smart and looks introspectively into each one of his works. Yet I hear very little talk of this film, and when I do, it normally isn't to what I believe is the film's true message, a message of warning, and a message of the fear of the art of creation. Because as the quote goes, the men who make profound impacts on history are quite often disconnected from the very world around them. It's a crazy notion that one person could change the world, and thus it's usually those crazy enough to be so disconnected that end up doing it. But in order to understand this quote better, I want to focus first on a few scenes within The Wind Rises that display it in full effect, because I believe this film is a great example of how that quote actually comes into shape through media and through the character of Jiro Horikoshi. So to begin with, our protagonist, Jiro Horikoshi, is a young aviator with dreams of building modern aircrafts for Japan in the years leading up to and after World War II. His ambitions lead him to share dreams with fellow airplane designer Giovanni Caprone, and it is in these scenes that we truly gather the underlying message of the film. These scenes will be where I'll be focusing most of this video, and the entire film deserves a video within itself, but I wanted to focus on these scenes in particular to follow the quote that I had in mind, as well as the meaning behind the film that I think people get so lost in trying to find. I do wish to do another video on the Wind Rises and more Ghibli projects, and so if that is something you'd like to see, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and put more suggestions down below for videos I could go into next on the Ghibli projects. These characters are based off real life people, real life aviators, real life airplane designers, and so it's almost Miyazaki taking a small glimpse into that world, but through his own lens. And Miyazaki is no stranger to tackling war within his films, but the message of it is always diverged within each project. And through these dreams of Caprone, we see under the rug to what he is really saying about Jiro. See, Jiro up to this point has made great leaps in his knowledge and creation of airplanes, so much so that he is acknowledged across the world for his efforts. In this moment of triumph though, Caprone asks him a very interesting question within the dream sequence.
Which would you choose? A world with pyramids or without?
What do you mean?
This question is not only an acknowledgement of Jiro's genius, but a forewarning of that very genius and what it will create. Caprone tells him this as a fellow airplane designer after having to make a bomber for Italy before retiring. He acknowledges that he himself has chosen to live in a world with pyramids, and thus poses the question to the man who is next in line. The very wonder of Jiro's creations is called into question at this moment, because it is no longer his creation. Much like Caprone, his work is ill-intended, through no fault of his own, to be used for destruction. Though this ambition is what got him here, Caprone is asking if it is ultimately for the right cause, and this leaves Jiro with either fate to follow. So though the question begins as one that you may interpret as, do you wish to take your creativity that step further or not, what it's really asking is, can he live with where that creativity may lead him? And before we get into Jiro's answer, I want to point out a lesser character within The Wind Rises who shows Jiro the outcome if he is to say no to this question. Dr. Hugo Juncker is another aviator that Jiro admires throughout the film, and a character that most people who watch the film probably won't even remember the name of because he has so little part within The Wind Rises, but his impact on Jiro is so important within this scene and answering this question that I think it's actually intentional from Miyazaki to have him play such a smaller role, because it is revealed to us by Mr. Kastorp, a character that deserves his own video at some point if I'm honest, that the Nazis are planning to cut Hugo Juncker from their aviation team as he does not align with their views. Mr. Kastorp himself refers to the Nazis as a gang of hoodlums, and it also displays Hugo Juncker's feelings towards them and therefore what happens to him after this fact. This small scene is incredibly important in answering the question to Jiro. as it displays to him what would happen to him if he went against the war effort. His dreams come at a price, and by Caprone asking if he wants to live in a world of pyramids, the real question he is asking is, can you live with the burden of your creation being in the hands of those who control you? Junker's answer was no, Caprone's was yes, and Jiro was given the luxury to see how both played out before his very eyes. So when he responds, I just want to make beautiful airplanes, he is acknowledging that his dreams come before the sacrifices of others, and the reality of what it is really being used for. Simply put, this is Jiro saying to Caprone, I will become a villain for the dreams I believe in. It is an acknowledgement of his fundamental luxury and courtesy to create these airplanes, and an understanding that he will have no control past the very freedom of that creation. It's a rat in a mouse trap, a bird in a golden cage, one with all the things the bird could ever satisfy itself with, whilst the jungle it once lived in is used to make wooden houses for its keeper. Because Jiro is exposed to the poverty of Japan and Germany multiple times throughout this film, he is made aware through his own wife the sacrifices others are making while he has this luxury, and yet he follows it all the same, all because of his dream of creation. This isn't me saying that Jiro is in that fact an antagonist, but he is almost such a protagonist to his dreams that he lets it affect the others around him to a point that he can only acknowledge it and almost look away from it in order to keep chasing his dreams of becoming an aviator and an airplane designer. I think a lot of people who watch The Wind Rises think that Miyazaki painted Jiro as this hero, as this crafter of airplanes who was perfect and made big sacrifices to do the greater good for Japan, when in actual fact, by him answering his question the way he did, I just want to make beautiful airplanes, he is saying that he's only doing so for the luxury of himself and his own dreams. He is a bird in a golden cage by design and by choice. We cut back to the dream world with Caprone one last time before the film's ending. In this, we see Jiro now having finished creating his dreams, walking through wreckage of the planes that he designed, their use never following his intentions, but as stated by Caprone, airplanes are beautiful dreams, cursed dreams, waiting for the sky to swallow them up. Jiro knew this would always be the case, and even still, his tone in the final scene is much more somber than of the previous conversations between the two, because as much as he knew the stakes at hand, while being lost in his dream, he never truly understood them until he lost his wife. So rather than Caprone getting at him and telling him that he's wrong, as he's someone who also made the wrong choice and helped with the war effort in his own country to fulfill his own dreams of making airplanes, he instead invites him round his place for wine, because it is acknowledgement of the two's love for airplanes that have got them to that point of helping create these weapons of destruction just to follow their own dreams. And this is what is so good about The Wind Rises, because a lot of the complaints I hear about towards it, that it feels like there is not much going on. Like it feels like it is just a slow-paced and too long film that has no real acts put in place. But the acts that are there are Jiro's roller coasters of emotions of coming to terms with the fact that he will give up everything to be an airplane designer, even sacrificing the people around him in order to get to that fate. And once he gets there, with Caprone, it's not happiness that he exudes, but actually quite somber emotions now that it's over, because he has nothing left to go to after that fact. And this is all just my opinion. I'm not saying this is 100% what is the case, but from my interpretation of it, his main happiness at the end actually comes from seeing his wife for a very brief moment, in which she tells him to keep living, that he must live. He must find something past the airplanes now that he has designed them and gone past the war effort to keep moving on. He sacrificed everything for these airplanes, and now it's about sacrificing that to find something else, which in turn makes this film a lot sadder than previous watches and previous expectations of it. But I think it's also what makes it so much better, because you begin to understand that when Miyazaki created this character based off a real person, he didn't put his wife dying in there just to add drama to a film that wasn't very climactic, but rather to show the sacrifices that people often make while being so madly driven to follow their ambitions. But like I said, this is all just my opinion. You may have completely different thoughts on The Wind Rises, and I'd love to hear them in the comments below. It's always so great hearing people's opinions on different shows, and just this film in particular to me is quite close to me as one of the first Ghibli films I watched when getting into anime. So hearing your opinions on it would be honestly amazing. Thank you for all the support recently. It's awesome to come back to this once every few weeks and just see all the nice comments, all nice messages. And on top of uni work, it's just a great way to stay positive during such a busy period of my life. I am literally just doing this just for fun and to practice editing so I can become an editor in the future for like films. That's really it. So to actually really enjoy doing this is really nice, and I really appreciate all the support. So thank you so much. But anyways, I'll let you go, and I hope you enjoyed.